Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answerman, a disc golf audio podcast brought to you by Dynamic Discs, where we want to help you become a better disc golfer. All right, guys, well, welcome back to another week of Disc Golf Answerman. You have with us me, Bobby Cool, Daddy Slick Breeze, and Robert McCall. Of course, we're doing remote video conferencing. You're joining our video conference. I know a lot of people are doing that now. The video.
Is that how we call it now?
Yeah. Disc golf video conferencing. That's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's our new name.
So Eric McCabe is out at this. We've got about a 3-day string of really nice weather here in Emporia, Kansas. So Eric has decided to take care of a lot of course design work that he needed to get done. So of course we want him to be out there doing that so we get more courses in this area. So, but he should be back maybe next week or the week after. And we'll be back to having all three of us on here. So
yeah, it's been unseasonably warm and
it has.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's only really snowed once. Yeah. Maybe twice. By now,
I think
the last couple of years, it would have we would be covered in snow right now.
I can't remember if it was Friday or so, but there was like a very, very light dusting of snow one of the mornings here in Emporia. I have a friend that lives in Wichita, and she sent me a picture, and they had quite a nice layer of snow, but we only had like a light dusting, and that's about it. Yeah, and then the other snow. So does that typically mean that if we haven't had snow by now, we probably won't have any snow, or are we just going to get an onslaught in January?
Dude, I don't know.
Gosh.
I don't know how all that stuff works.
I thought you didn't. I thought you're.
I'm a meteorologist in my free time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true, but I don't want to give away trade secrets.
Oh, I got you.
On Disc Golf Answerman.
That's fair. You want to start your own podcast, The Weather Answerman?
The Weather Answerman. I'm going to get creative with the name, The Weather Answerman.
Anyway. All right. So, but did you get to do anything over the weekend? Anything exciting and fun to share with our listeners?
Played pickleball. That was pretty fun.
Oh, nice.
That was it.
Outside or inside?
Outside.
Outside. Nice.
Very cool. We went out on Saturday and hit around some.
Very cool.
But otherwise it was nice enough outside, but Sunday was kind of windy and a little cold.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
pretty much just stayed
I went
inside.
to look at some Christmas lights on Friday night, and that was fun. So it was really weird. I don't want to. So they had a Santa, and they had him like in a garage that had a garage door that had glass. And so the garage door was down with glass, and kids were still talking to him. And he was asking them, what do you want from Christmas? Have you been a good boy or girl? And then they would take pictures and they would do it. And it really felt like I was in a movie, like an apocalyptic movie.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it was really odd. So, but anyway. But it's good that they were doing it, but it just felt so weird, and it just added more to the weirdness of 2020 for sure, as far as the pandemic. So
yeah, this has been a banner year for weird stuff, stuff that you would never have expected to have to think about. Now it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, you can't have kids sit on Santa's lap, so
yeah.
Guess we'll just do a glass garage door here.
They announced that.
So weird. Did
you hear about Warner Brothers and the movie releases?
Mm-mm.
So for, I believe, 21 of their movies that were for 2021, they're going to release them in theaters, but on the same day, they're going to release them on HBO Max.
Oh, which is, the movie theaters aren't going to be happy about that.
No, they weren't happy. Now they'll only be available for 30 days on HBO Max, but that's still, you're obviously.
That's the majority of when people go to see movies is the first month that they
right. But I thought that was interesting. So,
dang, that's kind of crazy.
All right, here we go. We got questions. We got disc golf questions on the Disc Golf Answerman show here, and we're going to get to them. Is that okay with you, Robert McCall?
I'm in. That's literally why I showed up today.
That's right.
To answer questions.
You don't want to talk about movies?
No. Whenever you called and you were like, "Hey, you want to just talk?" and I said, "No, I want to answer disc golf questions." Thanks for asking.
I have to remember that every time I text you. Hey, real quick, do you want to text about stuff or you want to answer questions?
Well, and it's answer questions.
All right, this one's from Spencer. He wants some help on making decisions and his confidence. He says he has a two-part question about competition. Well, that'll cost you twice the price, Spencer. So
that's right.
Here we go. I feel like I have all of the shots to be playing open during tournaments. However, I shoot myself in the foot. Nope, we did this one, right? Because we talked about not shooting yourself in the foot.
I think so.
I swear I delete these, but
you might as well just go delete the first question that you see at the beginning of each episode. And even if we haven't done it, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's worth the risk of not have had to answer it rather than looking like a fool. All right, this one's from Ryan. Hey, BCDSB, Robert Big Daddy Slick Hair McCall, and Eric Truth Daddy Big Putts.
All accurate.
After watching this and many years of United States Disc Golf Championship and hearing them talk about the mozzarella sticks that are around a few of the holes near the change, do you think this is something that should be adopted at major tournaments? A few months ago, there was an article in Disc Golfer that too many spectators just walk away when all of the pros are in the circle. But in the PDGA, this is the most exciting time on the course for viewers. Would adding
the PGA?
Oh, did I say PDGA?
Sorry. I'm just assuming that it means golf.
PGA. Yes, you meant golf. Would adding in the extra obstructions change the game that much? And how do you think it would impact the viewing experience? Love you guys for all you do and can't wait for you to see you again soon. Check out our Veteran for Vets event at the Cat Hollow in Austin this January 16th. Nice.
Cat Hollow is one of my favorite places to play down there.
Yeah,
real quick. Real short, but birdie course. Super fun. Good luck with the event. Hope it goes well.
Yeah. So explain to everybody what the mozzarella sticks were.
All right, so the event that installed them, USDGC, didn't call them mozzarella sticks. They were just wood poles around the basket. Somebody came up with the idea of calling them pillars of justice. But really, I don't think justice is the right word. And so to answer your question, do I think other tournaments should adopt this setup? No. This is one of my least favorite design aspects that the USDGC has come up with. Yeah. And I understand their idea. They're trying to do what you're trying to describe. They want to make the greens more difficult, make people work for birdies and maybe play to a different position on the hole. But there's got to be a better way to do it than that. And I understand also what you're saying about golf, in that putting in golf is much different and really exciting, because putting in golf is much harder than putting in disc golf. Smaller target and more variables than in disc golf. But I don't think adding extra obstacles is the answer. I think, if anything, what we would want to do is make smaller targets. That's the only way to really accomplish, in my opinion, what you're asking for, without making it kind of like a circus. Not to say that the USDGC is a circus, but I don't think that the mozzarella sticks are a good challenge, personally. I just don't like them. I don't think they look good. The fact that they can be called mozzarella sticks and then Arby's tweets about it, that's kind of cool. But otherwise, I don't like them. I don't think they serve the purpose they were trying to.
But good sponsorship opportunities.
It was funny to see it, and we were all like, Arby's tweeted about disc golf. But no, I don't think that's the answer.
Tweet a little more serious things rather than mozzarella sticks.
I'm down with them tweeting about disc golf. It doesn't really matter how it gets there, but it kind of came through a fluke.
Do you like mozzarella cheese sticks?
I'm in for mozzarella.
Who makes
if they're just handing out mozzarella sticks, I'm down.
Who's the best that you ever had?
I don't know, man. I don't rank those things. I try not to eat them because they are the least healthy thing. It's not true. Not the least healthy, but they're up there. But if you just go to a really good Italian restaurant and it's just your cheat day or cheat weekend or whatever, I'll get down on some of those.
Bottom. All right. Next question comes from.
Wait, what was that?
It comes from Eric. I found out one of my coworkers has recently gotten into the sport. He has only been playing for a few months, but has become way better than me. Ooh. I played 8 to 10 years ago casually, but have only really played once every year or two since. I've gotten back into the sport and I'm improving quickly to try to catch up to him. I have been practicing driving with my putter in mid-ranges and have noticed that my old Mako and AVR turn off to the right quite often. I was chalking that up to bad throws or too much Anheuser, but it just clicked with me that I must finally be throwing these understable discs with enough oomph that they are turning over. I was wondering if I can now Hyzer flip them to get them to go straight. I tried and threw my first Hyzer flips. It's so satisfying to reach that milestone. So now on to my question. Which driver or driving putter in which plastic would you recommend that will be pretty much go straight with little to no turnover? So a good throwing putter.
Yeah, let me address a little bit what you said before.
Yeah.
When you were throwing your old, not you, the question. When you're throwing your old AVR and Mako and they were turning over, those aren't necessarily understable discs. Usually they're pretty stable. So one of two things are probably at play. One is they might be really worked in, like super beat up, and so they become understable. And if that's the case, then I do have a good recommendation for you. There is also a chance that you are just trying to muscle them or throw them a little too hard. And that's why they're moving to the right, because you're kind of torquing them and getting some of that off-axis torque or wobble that causes discs to turn to the right. Either way, I think if you're looking for a point and shoot throwing disc, I really like the Warden from Dynamic Discs. It's just really straight, easy to throw, comfortable in your hand. If you want something a little bit straighter or that's going to be even slightly understable isn't right. It just doesn't fade quite as much as the Warden. That'd be the Pure from Latitude 64. It just goes. It's really, really straight. And if you get one of the Tour Series ones, like one of the Opto X ones, those are a little bit more stable. So I think those would be good ones, the Warden or the Pure, especially if you're used to like the feel of a beadless AVR. I think you'll like the feel of those too.
Excellent. All right. This one is from Carl Lamoth. Carl. All right. He says or asks, over the last couple of years, I've been become more engaged with disc golf as a sport and more serious about my play. Being out of the course so often, I meet many people that have also caught the disc golf bug, but enjoy it for different reasons. My question for you fine gentlemen, well, he's never met us, apparently.
Joke's on you.
is, can you come to a consensus on top 3 reasons that the sport of disc golf draws people in? Or somewhat differently, what are the top 3 reasons people love disc golf?
I think there's one really easy one for me, and that's that it's cheap. It's like it's a sport that you can get into for the cost of one disc. I mean, $9, and just go play. And you could play that way until forever if you wanted to, assuming that you didn't lose the disc. That's a huge one. It's cheap, doesn't require hardly any equipment. You can have just as much fun as someone who has a full bag of, the most expensive bag and all the Tour Series discs and everything. You can have just as much fun and even be competitive depending on how practiced you are with that disc. So I think, yeah, that's one really good one, is that if you invite a friend out, it's not like, hey, it's not like golf, if you invite a friend to play golf, they can borrow your clubs or they can go get their own. And if they go get their own, you're looking at several $100s on the low side. So if you invite a friend to play, you could, go buy him a disc, show up and be like, here, have this. Good luck.
I remember I tried to pick, this was probably like 10 years ago. I tried to pick up golf and I bought like a $300 golf club set. And, but then it was like, even the low end was like $30 to go play around. At a small course. And after a while, I was like, man,
it's expensive.
It's expensive. If you're like going every weekend, and then if you're going multiple times a weekend, it gets expensive. And I was just trying to learn it. I wasn't even doing well at all.
Exactly. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I think is, it's cheap. Another one for me is that there's a pretty low barrier to entry skill wise, right? So if you go out and play disc golf for the very first time, you're probably going to suck, but most people, and that's pretty much everybody, but most people have thrown a Frisbee in some capacity. So it's not a foreign motion, right? It's not like, I'll use golf again. People go out for the first few times they play golf and won't make contact with the ball a lot. I mean, that's the real deal. But it's extremely rare that you get to a tee box and just don't throw the Frisbee. If you're trying to throw the Frisbee, you're going to throw it. Right. Even if it doesn't go where you want to, you're going to be able to get a shot off. And so I think there is a pretty low barrier to entry as far as skill goes. And you can go have fun just throwing little spike Hyzers all day because that's all you know how to throw. That's fine. I think that's another one for me.
What do you think the third reason is?
Well, I mean, I guess I'll just come up with all of them if you want. You don't. I'm just kidding.
I have one, but maybe it's too much related to what you just said.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me see if it's too much related. So, okay. So yeah. So, the low barrier entry, meaning like, I mean, even if you're just going out with the family weekend to play one time, you'll get somewhat enjoyment because you're going to get the disc to go somewhere.
Right.
You know, you'll have fun trying to figure out how to throw it better. I mean, you're not going to get hardly any distance. And unless you're just super competitive and don't like to suck at something, you're going to have a little bit of fun throwing a disc in the air. But I think what a lot of people experience is that going from totally newbie sucky to halfway decent, having a good time, that's a really fast trip or whatever.
Yeah.
You can progress pretty fast to where it's like every time you go out, you do something, a nice big putt or a nice throw, and you're like, okay, I'm kind of getting the hang of it. And then you try to replicate it and it doesn't work. But then the third or fourth throw, you replicate it or duplicate it or whatever. And you're like, okay, I can get better at this. Now there is some point where you plateau and it takes a little bit more to get better and better and better. But I think a lot of people are, when they're in that curve or whatever, it's a really good time.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That probably does go with number 2, but I think that's a different aspect of it, is that it's pretty easy to improve pretty quickly.
Well, there you go then. I contributed.
Yeah, that was good. I was just giving you a hard time. I guess the third, I guess the third would be that the culture in disc golf is pretty open. Like people are pretty willing to help out. If you're brand new to the course and you have one disc, I mean, we hear people all the time say they just gave their discs away to people, just so they can get started. If you go to, I mean, I've attended a bunch of leagues where there's brand new beginner players, and most of the time, this isn't across the board, but most of the time, the better players or the more advanced players, or even just more experienced players in general, don't shy away from those players. They say, hey, let me play with them. Right. I'll help them out along the way. And so, yeah, I would say the culture of kind of, getting along with people, helping people along. I think that's pretty prevalent in disc golf, which is really cool.
All right, next one comes from John. Hi, team. I noticed that some players putt with the disc on a deliberate Hyzer angle, usually when within the circle. Within circle 1. At this distance, the angle doesn't seem to affect the flight of the disc much. Does it grab the change better, or is it just more comfortable? As a push putter, it feels easier to shake hands with the basket with the disc on a slight angle. Your thoughts? He says, I love the new video sections, although I still like to listen to the podcast when it's more practical. Thanks.
Sweet. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. And watching.
And watching. For me, it's just about comfortability. If I try to putt the disc really, really flat, it puts my arm in an angle that just doesn't feel right to me. And I think there are a lot of benefits to being able to throw a perfectly flat putt. But if I try to force that, it doesn't go well for me. So I just play with a little bit of Hyzer. And like you said, inside the circle, it doesn't make a huge difference. I mean, a few inches, maybe. Outside the circle, you have to adjust a little bit more, change your aiming point to play it maybe a little bit right outside the basket and let it fall back in left. But I think it just comes down to comfortability. And then you'd rather, if you're going to pick an angle, flat is like, it's good. That's great. But Anheuser is kind of a tough angle because there's more unpredictability with Anheuser than there is with Hyzer. Hyzer's only ever going to go one direction. Hyzer, you don't know how long it's going to stay to the right before it kind of gets back to flat or goes back to the left. And so there is some consistency in just putting with a Hyzer angle.
All right. Well, Anthony is back with his reviews, and this time he is reviewing the Dynamic Discs Truth. Now, just in case you're kind of new to Dynamic Discs, there's the Truth and there is the EMAC Truth, and they fly a little different than each other. So, but this week he's going to talk about the Dynamic Discs Truth.
The Dynamic Discs Truth is the best of all worlds when it comes to a mid-range. With flight numbers of speed 5, glide 5, turn of -1, and fade of 1, this disc is a neutral flying disc for everyone. Hyzer, Anhyzer, distance, approach, low ceiling, power, high floating drop shots, or anything imaginable can be accomplished with the Truth. Everyone from beginning disc golfers to world champions love this disc and use it to lower their scores. With a micro bead along the bottom and a gentle dome across the top, the Truth will fit into any hand size as well. This disc really lives up to its name, and it is the absolute truth. If you're looking for a neutral, gentle mid-range, look no further than the Dynamic Discs Truth. Pick yours up today at dynamicdiscs.com or your favorite local retailer.
All right, another good review from Anthony on the Dynamic Discs Truth. We should have those. So, okay, I'm laughing because, so I was helping with my daughter shop for my grandson, Eli, right? We've talked about it before. He's super big in the disc golf. Well, of course, out of the 20 items on his wish list, 18 of them were disc golf related. And
knows what he wants.
Yeah. And my daughter was like, hey, I've been trying to shop on the website to look for some stuff, but you guys are out of a lot of stuff. And I was like, oh, let me check the warehouse because, sometimes we don't have stuff listed.
Right.
I went out there and I'm like, we really don't have a lot of stuff still, even though we have stuff constantly coming in and restocking and stuff. There's a lot of staple stuff we still do not have. So that's what I was going to say. Well, if you're looking for the truth, go to dynamicdisc.com. But I hope we
might be sold out of it right now. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Anyway, but I promise you, we are working hard. We're working extra hours and stuff like that to get them restocked. But it's just, I was like, man, we still don't have some stuff that I would have thought we had.
Yeah, Jeremy and I were talking about that a little bit today. He's going to put something together just to share with fans about where we're at and some of the challenges of restocking and stuff like that. So be looking for that in the next, week or two.
Nice. All right. Next one comes from John on funding course construction. Hi again. I know you do course design. I wondered if you had ever covered the topic of how to go about funding and negotiating this. I'd be especially interested in how you think this might pan out in a country like Thailand, where disc golf is a fairly low profile, about 4 genuine courses. Wow. The land is owned by my international school's parent company, and they don't know what an amazing course they could have right next to the other service and recreational facilities they are currently developing. I hope you have some time for this question sometime when Eric is in studio. Oh, sorry, Eric's not in studio.
Well, we will definitely ask him about that. I'm sure he would love to travel internationally and do that.
Yeah, I'll save that question for him so he can. I would think that it would the similar things would apply, that you talk to the local government to see if they have any resources and funds to help with that. And then you just have to it would be the same thing. You'd have to show them the value that they get out of it, the value of a new sport, a new recreation for people. But they're going to want to see statistics. They're going to want to see data, and you get a lot of that stuff from UDisc, and you get a lot of that stuff from PDGA for sure. So I would definitely research. I think PDGA even has like a resource. I know they have resources for TDs. I haven't looked, but I wonder if I would think they'd have some kind of resources that kind of help with that type data and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably so.
Beneficial. All right. Jeffrey wants to know about Trilogy replacements.
Okay.
The Leopard 3 from Innova is currently my workhorse Woods disc. What's the best Trilogy replacement for it? Maybe just a touch more stable? Also, what's your favorite roller disc? Thanks for the advice and everything you do to grow the sport. Love you all.
Nice.
We love you, Jeffrey.
Nice. Hey, thanks, man. Okay, so the Leopard is really similar to a Maverick. The Lucid Maverick is my favorite, but Fusion is a little bit more understable. Might be kind of closer to your Leopard 3 out of the box, whereas the Lucid might be a little bit more stable out of the box. If you're looking for something even slightly more stable, though it is a little faster, you want to check out the Lucid Escape. That's a 9-speed compared to the Maverick, which is a 7. But the Maverick and Leopard are they fly very similarly. I think if you tried one of those out, you'd be pretty pleased.
Excellent. All right.
Was that the only question? Did he have another part of it?
I deleted.
I don't think so. Okay.
Oh, favorite roller disc.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. I throw the Renegade often, but it's kind of stable for a roller. Like you have to really get over it to get it up to flat. I have also thrown the Fury from Latitude 64. That's the one I'm using right now. It's a little bit more understable, more like hey, throw it out there on 45 degrees and let it turn to the ground to get to, 11 o'clock or so. I like it for something like that. But if you're just trying to learn a roller and you like that kind of more understable disc, the Fury is great. The Underworld from West Side Discs is a really good one as well. I like rolling that one a lot.
Good stuff. This one from Glenn. Learning a forehand. Who to emulate? Well, me, of course. No. Hi, Disc Golf Answerman crew. I've been playing disc golf for a while, and I really want to add a forehand to my game. In sports, I've always tried to pick someone whose form or style I could copy. I've done the same in disc golf. For my backhand, I try to copy elements from the forms of Drew Gibson and Valerie Manduhano. I was going to say Hano. It's going to be close, but Manduhano.
It was close.
My question is, do you recommend anyone to watch to copy their forehand? I want to find someone who has a simple, repeatable forehand. I think Oakley, Eagle, and Sexton are amazing, but I'm not sure their forehands would be described as simple and repeatable for someone just learning a forehand. I really liked Chris Clemens' forehand we saw during his practice round video, especially the 400-foot standstill. Yeah, that was freaking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Was it the getaway?
Probably Defender. That's what he throws on forehands a lot.
Is there anyone you would recommend I watch and try to emulate for a simple and repeatable forehand? Thanks for any help you can provide. And as always, keep it real.
If you like Clemens, then by all means, watch him. He's got one of the best power forehands in the game. And it comes from not a big run up. He just kind of hammers it. And it goes forever.
And finesse. I mean, it's just so smooth.
Yeah, he's
a smooth character all around, but
the hair and the
right.
I'm glad he doesn't work here because then I'm like my hair wouldn't be a big deal here.
You talk about it.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh, that's a guy, but look at that hair though. But okay, so I would go against something that you said. I think that Nate Sexton's forehand is one to look at as a pretty simple, repeatable one. It is not there are not a whole lot of moving parts. And Nate's kind of known for simplicity, right? Like that's kind of what he builds his game on, is the most consistent thing. And so his forehand is a great one to look at. I would recommend Eagles, even though you said you wouldn't want to. Eagles is a little bit of an anomaly though, because it goes so very far and it doesn't look like he's putting hardly any effort into it. That might set you up for, unrealistic expectations. But then one other that I think you should check out, this person has a pretty darn good forehand that's really simple, is if you go watch the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship that they had on ESPN2 and that they featured on, the Disc Golf Network. Austin Hannum's forehand is really simple, but super duper effective. I mean, it's just point, shoot, no fancy run up, just, Now he's got really good arm speed. So once again, your mileage may vary, but those are some really good people to look out for.
You didn't mention Sarah Hokum, did you?
No. And the reason I didn't,
kind of a unique.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to emulate somebody's form, most people can't contort their body, like put their body into the type of angles that she does. Yeah. She does it really well, and that's why she controls the angle of the disc so well. But most people don't have that sort of flexibility. And so they're more likely to play a little bit more stood up instead of so bent over to the side and low to the ground.
I just remember the Waco, I think it was maybe 2-3 years ago, and I was doing some filming of Paige out there, and it was she was on Holcomb's card, and there are so many holes in the woods that some of the ladies were having not big problems with, but you could tell they were trying to figure out the line, and she would just whip that forehand line, and she would have such beautiful drives on them.
She's got really good angles, no doubt about that.
Yeah. All right. Next one is from Michael, and this is just basically talking about the Veterans for Vets. So we'll just use this as our little ad for the Veterans for Vets.
Segue.
Yeah. Just want to thank Dynamic Discs and Bobby for creating the Veterans for Vet fundraising tournament. Now, I had the idea, but we'll have to give credit to Doug Bierkus
Bobby
and Jeremy Resco. Yeah.
No, Doug did it. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I said Bobby made it. It was his.
No, I did not make it. But anyway, as an active duty, but you're welcome. As an active duty member, it is great to be able to give back to many of the organizations that support veterans by playing disc golf. So I'm throwing it down and calling out all you great watchers and listeners to get out there this winter and support this great event. Thanks for all you guys do Dynamic Disc to help grow the sport. I mean, how can I say more? I mean, he's right. Veterans for Vet. It's just a way for you to have some winter disc golf to play when sometimes events kind of slow down. It's a way to have an event go on. It's also a way to get your disc golf community together for a great cause and then be able to give some support to a local veterans organization. Veteranforvet.com. We got all kinds of information on it. If you're not even sure how to start it, how to even reach out to some of your local veterans organizations, we have little helpful hints for TDs to be able to do that. So make sure you check that out.
Definitely. And if you're a member of the Dynamic Disc squad, you can earn a pretty significant chunk of points from running a Veterans for Vets event.
Nice. What is the squad, Robert? I've never heard. No, I've heard of it, but
have you? You haven't?
Yeah.
I feel like I told you. If you haven't heard about it though, and you're listening, and your name isn't Bobby, then you can listen. The Dynamic Disc Squad is just a kind of a fan-based promotion that we do. If you're interested in posting on your social media, sharing pictures with us, completing challenges, you can earn rewards points with us. We have a rewards points program through the website, but that's just for purchases. This is for, a lot of different stuff. You can earn them by running events. You can earn them by voting on which picture you think is better. You can earn points a ton of different ways. And it earns you rewards like discounts to the website, free discs, VIP access to the GBO if you get enough points. So I'm saying, check it out. dynamicdiscs.com/squad. Check it out.
Next one is from Keith and he has a question about the Dynamic Discs captain. What's going on, fam? Love the show. I'm currently working on filling my bag, and my understable disc I've been using is the Lucid Air Captain. And when I first started throwing it, I loved it. Got a good, controllable turn, and was able to shape lots of shots that I didn't want to use a forehand on. My problem now is that it has beaten in a little, and my arm speed has gotten faster. And now it flips over way too much for my liking. I understand the Lucid Air is going to naturally be more understable. So should I try the same disc in another plastic, such as Lucid or something more overstable? Should I try one max weight? Is it time to ditch the captain and try a different understable driver? I'd love any and all input. Thanks for all that you do. Keep growing the sport and keep on keeping it real.
Okay, so yes, you should. The answer is yes. If you are already flipping the Lucid Air Captain over, try a heavier Lucid one. And I think you'll be really pleased with the results. Sometimes those few grams are enough to make a big difference in the flight of the disc. And sometimes Lucid Air discs and Lucid discs mold up a little bit differently. So one will have a little bit of a dome where the other one won't. That'll affect flight characteristics as well. So if I were you, I would go try a Lucid Captain. Go anything over 170 and see if that solves the problem for you. If it doesn't, if it's still understable, then you're going to have a disc that's at least more stable than your other Captain is, than your Lucid Air one is. But you could try something like a Fusion Trespass. That'll probably be your next step up in stability. It should be a little bit easier to control and it won't instantly turn to the right every time. You're going to have to work on it, but both good discs to try out.
Yeah. All right. Alan wants to talk to us about making courses harder.
Okay. Interesting.
Your hot take about making the sport look harder. Specifically I can't remember exactly what the hot take was. We talked about that. Anyway,
I know which one you're talking about, but I also don't remember.
He says, so I've been a bowler all my life. I just recently found disc golf a couple of years ago. The two sports are very similar from the outside looking in when it comes to how difficult it looks. When you watch pro bowlers play, they make the game look so easy. They play on the same lanes essentially that you and I go play. They have access to the same equipment. It all looks similar, except when the average Joe goes to play, he rolls a 150 and the pro on TV makes 250 look like a breeze. Disc golf
First of all, who's average throwing 150s out there, bro? If I'm over 150, then we've succeeded.
I know. Thinking about the last time we did it as a company, yeah, I'm thinking 150 would be exciting.
Yeah, I bowled like a few 200s in my life, and it was like I'm the best. I will never get better.
He says disc golf doesn't need to be harder. That would scare beginners like myself away. We need a bunch of AM courses and maybe a couple A tier courses that also have shorter tee pads. Side note, he got his first EMAC Truth, and he says it's money. It instantly took the place of my MD3, and I'm a huge Discmania guy, so kudos on that. I'm going to need this to be signed by the man himself. Well, if Eric McKay was here, he would be excited, and of course he would say, of course I'll sign it for you.
Yeah.
So disc golf doesn't need to be harder?
I agree with you. I'm good with how it is. And I know that we had talked about adjusting pars. I'm fine with doing that for the FPO and MPO fields, but it doesn't change the difficulty of the course, just how it's perceived. Right. I don't think it has to be harder. It's just that the top pros make it look so easy. And it just isn't, you know, like I'll use the example I believe I used when we talked about that hot take was the Beast in Waco. If you are even like a 950 rated player, you know, a good advanced player, and you go out to the Beast, if you shoot under par, you're stoked.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's no joke. You're feeling pretty good. 1 or 2 under is like, hey, I did it. And the top pros are going to be out there shooting double digits all the time because they're just that good. It's not that easy. They just make it look that way. Yeah. So no, I don't think it needs to be harder. And I'm with you. If we want to get more people into disc golf, yeah, that goes along with the 3 reasons that we talked about earlier. The barrier to entry doesn't have to be higher. It needs to be, as low as we can get it. 9-hole courses like Hammond are great. They're perfect. And having more of those is a great way to get people involved in disc golf. So I'm with you. I don't think that it needs to be more difficult, really, unless we change the size of baskets. I'm not even going to advocate for that, but that's kind of the only feasible way I see to make it more difficult on the top level.
Yeah. And, you know, speaking to the courses that you talk about, and that's why a lot of times Jeremy and Eric will see him talk about 9-hole courses, how some people think when they want a course, you know, I want to grow the sport. I want to grow the disc golf community. So I need a champion level course. No, you don't necessarily need that. You know, bringing pros to your town is really good. It's I'm not saying it's not a good thing, but making a nice AM course, a friendly course, it's just a 9-hole course. That's going to get people to want to try it out, and they're not going to get so frustrated, and they're going to enjoy the sport. And then they can maybe, you know, move up to a bigger course or longer courses and stuff like that. But don't knock those 9-hole courses if you can't afford or don't have enough room for 18-hole course, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So earlier we had a question about rollers, and to that person, you are in luck because Danny's disc golf tip this week is in fact on rollers. So let's see what he has to say about rollers, and maybe he has a few suggestions for you on his favorite discs for rollers.
A well-thrown roller can seem like magic. It hits the ground, and almost like a remote-controlled car, it swerves left and right and ends up super far down the fairway. But for inexperienced roller throwers, to say rollers are hit or miss might be a bit generous. These are my tips for throwing better rollers. We'll start with the best way to throw a roller if you've never thrown one before. Start with your most understable fairway driver, usually like a hatchet, witness, or diamond. Then try to get it to dive right into the ground and stand up while rolling fairly straight. This won't be the farthest rolling shot, but this is a great way to learn how to get a disc down on the ground and what it will do once it's there. Once you've got the flat and low roller down, you can start adding a little height and a little more anhyzer. The problem most people have with rollers is throwing them too high and on not enough anhyzer, so they start fading before they hit the ground and they end up cut rolling straight left. The solution to this is to throw more anhyzer and just a little lower. So to get that much anhyzer without throwing too high, the best way is to lean back as you throw and follow through down into the ground. Whoa, maybe not that much. Anyway, the best way to aim this shot is to picture where on the fairway you want your disc to land and what angle you want it to be on. These rollers go farther than the first type because they typically hit the ground much farther down the fairway, so they have less resistance from bumps or objects on the ground. So that's my best advice for throwing backhand rollers. Rollers are tough, they require a lot of practice and knowing your roller disc really well. Learning how your roller disc rolls takes a lot of time, so it can be one of the most devastating discs to lose. Let me know in the comments here or on the Disc Golf Answerman Facebook group what your go-to roller is, and make sure to subscribe to Disc Golf Audio for more tips on how to become a better disc golfer.
All right, so good stuff from Danny on rollers. If you don't follow us on Instagram, make sure you follow us because once these are put out on the Answerman show, we like to put these out on Instagram as well. So if you want to catch up with all the, actually, also on the Dynamic Disc Clips YouTube channel, we like to put these shorter segments out there. So that's another YouTube channel for you to follow if you just want to get some instructional videos on disc golf. All right, let's get through a few more questions. So the reason I stopped and paused is because they put the name Slick Daddy Cool Breeze. I didn't know there was another one out there. That's so cool.
That's your brother.
It's my brother. All right. Course oversaturation. Oh, just talking about courses and designing courses. Could there be such a thing as course oversaturation? Surely not. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we are spoiled with the quantity of courses that we have. Some courses have great minis and great clubs associated with them. And just so you, in case you didn't know, a mini is like league night. It's just kind of a regional thing, how people call it.
Like a small competitive, just one round mini tournament.
Right. Others leave much to be desired, and a fair number of them seem to be in the middle. My question is this: is there actually such a thing as too many courses in a given area? It seems like it could be possible that with a smaller quantity of courses, the love, devotion, and dedication from volunteers and clubs could get our courses to even greater levels of awesomeness. It feels blasphemous to even pose such a question. Keep it real and have a good one, y'all. So do you think an area could be oversaturated with courses?
Without having a whole lot of time to think about it, not really.
Yeah.
But only like, I think the only way that it hurts is if kind of the opposite scenario that from the one that he just described is that, you know, if there's a small group that'll take care of each course, then that's perfect. But if you're in a town of 100 people and you have 15 courses, there's probably not going to be enough people and enough man hours to maintain every course the way that it needs to be. And so eventually those are going to get too overgrown to mow and to keep up with. And then even if you have 15 courses in town, if 3 of them are unplayable, that feels pretty bad. You know, it feels like, this town doesn't care about disc golf. So that's kind of the only scenario that I could see like that. Otherwise, I don't think there's really a big threat of being oversaturated with disc golf courses.
Yeah.
Now I've seen a course have what felt like too many people, because it's the most popular one in the area and it's the easiest one in the area. And then you have 4 or 5 sims on every single hole. That'll hold people up and get a little annoying, but I mean, just go to a different course if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with everything you said. It's hard to say. I mean, I guess you would be able to feel when there's some oversaturation when a course is starting to suffer because there's not enough people. So, all right. Next one is from John on jump putts. I've recently discovered that many on Reddit and other disc golf forums hate jump putts. I have discovered myself that a lot of people on Reddit just hate. And want it to be banned. As y'all obviously know, there is no such thing as a jump putt in the rules, only putts inside the circle and throws from a lie or tee drop zones. I was wondering if any of y'all have strong opinions on jump putts or if any DeGam hosts agree with banning the jump putt. Also, what realistic rule change would need to be made to ban the jump putt? I think the rule would just say no jump putting.
We just made it simple. No jump putting.
Right.
Drop the.
I mean, it seems to happen every year that somebody does a jump putt and somebody does a freeze frame
by frame, yeah,
and they point out that they stepped on the ground before their disc left their hand, and it's a foot fault. But I don't see jump putts going away.
No, same, and I don't feel strongly that they should.
Yeah,
if you, to be quite honest, like the extra feet that motion gains you, I don't think is usually worth the risk of having your body be in like less balance than it was before, right? Only the very, very best jump putters make jump putting more successful for them than just standstill putting from the same spot. You know, if you think of somebody like Chris Dickerson or like Paul Ulibarri, I mean, used to, it was, if he was outside the circle by a foot, then count it. It wasn't, it was like a tap in.
Yeah.
And I would say that the people who go by and do frame by frame just don't. You would have to be able to call it in real time in order for it to be, you know, egregious. And if you're running and jumping, really jumping and then throwing the putter when you're, 10 feet closer to the basket, okay, yeah, please call that. It just doesn't feel like such an egregious thing that we should ban it, personally. Unless we're going to start allowing video evidence. And if we are, then, people that do that would have to tighten up, but I don't see it going away anytime soon. The only rule change that you could make is outside of 10 meters, you just can't follow through your shot. But then that would be bad because, like, if you were throwing from 200 feet away, you can follow through your lie. They'd have to extend the circle out some.
I don't know.
Maybe to 20 meters, but you're not, like, 10 meters is long enough to step off. You're not going to get to your putter 60 something feet away and be like, hey, is this outside? And then step off 20 paces to the basket. No.
Golf, you can't use video evidence, right? I know when they're there. I remember there was
no, golf, you exclusively can use video evidence.
Oh, you can use video evidence?
Yes. People who are watching the tournament from home can call in and have rules violations reported, and players will get penalized for it. It's
kind of ever been a thing where, like,
I'm not a fan of that personally,
but where they could go back and watch, like, I guess I'm thinking, the whole video evidence is an interesting thing, I guess, because the Chiefs game that was played yesterday between the Broncos, there was I don't know if you saw that throw that Tyreek Hill caught. Mm-mm. And he did. Okay. So he was in the end zone and he reached up to grab the ball, but kind of jumbled it. And the player was kind of like on top of him as they're coming down, and Tyreek had the ball. And then from the one camera angle, it looked like he didn't catch the ball. And then they looked at another camera angle, and it came down on his chest and went to his shoulder. Mm-hmm. And then he held it, right? And he got up, and he was upset because he thought he had messed up the catch. But in the video review, it never touched the ground. Yeah. So it legitimately could have been a fair catch. But Tyreek didn't say anything to his coach, Andy Reid, and so they played the next play, and then Andy Reid saw the footage on the Jumbotron or whatever they had over there.
Back.
And he was like going over the tape. Why didn't you tell me? It's just interesting how they could have used the video evidence to prove that it was an actual catch of the ball. And I just don't think we're at technology-wise.
Oh, no.
I don't think
the technology that goes into that is like it's multi-million-dollar technology. That's like when people complain, if you watch tennis and people complain about not having like the shot spot on every single court, like the really slow motion camera that animates where the ball's going, that technology is wildly expensive. If we have that money for disc golf, we wouldn't allocate it to that.
Yeah, I know a lot of, because I've seen said sometimes in that argument online where people are like, we just need to allow video evidence. It's like, those cameras just aren't at doesn't have the technology to do that.
Yeah. You could make a camera lie a little bit if you wanted to. Yeah. Like if you were talking about an OB call, you could just get to a little bit better angle and hold it and be like, look, so B. Okay.
No, yeah.
I just don't see that having a future. I don't mind video evidence as long as the person who is who's contesting the call, like if it's my OB disc, I think that I should get to shoot a video and somebody else should get to shoot a video, and we can take those into account just to make sure that they're fair. But still, that's a waste of time. I don't think we should do it.
It's got to be a third party. It's got to be someone that has no vested interest in the outcome.
Yeah. It's got to be Jomez, we got to get Jomez out to every event.
Right. Every single event, and have 3 cameras on every hole, every car.
I've heard they should do all the live coverage too.
You think so? We won't open that.
The people on the internet that just don't understand, that cracks me up. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. And then like when it was coming on ESPN, some people were like, I hope ESPN films it and treats it like they should all the other sports. ESPN is just simply giving you a way to
they're giving us the airspace.
They're not filming any of it. Yeah. Anyway.
Now that was awesome. And Jomez did a great job with the other camera crews, but
exactly.
It just cracks me up when like the Pro Tour or another live event, Jomez should have done this. They didn't do that.
I've talked to Jomez. Now, this is a few years ago. He didn't want to mess with live. Live is its own animal and headache in itself.
Totally different set of variables.
A couple questions. Chris Neal, when to switch? I'm switching my bag all over to Trilogy. We should have like a sound, like a
Dude, that's all we need.
I've slowly been working in some different molds and replacing 1 to 2 discs at a time. The one I'm most hesitant is my putter. That's understandable. Should I make the switch after my tournament season is over, or just switch now and go for it? I'll be switching from a P2 to a Warden, as I believe is a good and close switch as far as feel/flight. He says, keep it real.
Since you're going to a Warden, I would say switch now.
Now.
No, I mean, go with what you're most comfortable with. If, especially, all right. So I'm going to keep it real. I don't have the keep it real glasses here, but
if we were on like Snapchat, you could put a filter on. By the way, have you seen the Disney filter? Did we talk about that already? Dude, go to Snapchat and do the Disney filter. It is crazy.
Okay, I'm going to keep it real now.
Kind of like keep it
Clark Kent.
Yeah.
These are pretty big frames. Okay. So here's what it comes down to. If you're not being paid by a company to play with a specific disc, then the choice is entirely yours if/when you want to switch. So I think switching to a Warden is great. I'm not saying the P2 is a bad putter. I think it's a very good one. I like the Warden a lot. I've made a lot of putts with it, and I enjoy putting and throwing it. But if it's going to make you worse now, when you've got a month or 2 in the off season to putt with it, there's not a huge rush to switch until you're ready to. If you're trying to switch your whole bag over and you want to do it like because you're applying for Team Trilogy, or you're trying to get sponsored and you want to have a full bag switch, awesome, do that. But if you're not, I would just wait until the end of the tournament season, then putt with them in the off season so that you're super comfortable. Because the last thing you want is to get to a tournament situation and not feel comfortable with your putters. I would say those are the most important discs for you to feel comfortable with.
I like it. All right, I'll try and.
You can see much better now. I'm just kidding.
Here, take your there you go.
Just kidding. I had contacts in already, so that was a little disorienting.
Oh yeah, I've done that. Wearing glasses with contacts. Oh, there we go. All right. So, how are you doing today, Robert?
Am I on Snapchat?
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm doing the.
Can I do a whole new world?
Yeah. I'll have to send it to you.
Thank you.
I'll post it on the Answerman podcast so people are on the Facebook group so they can see it.
Okay. Excellent.
Anyway, let's do one more question. Unconventional discs from Tommy Hilfiger. Oh, it just says Tommy H. I just assume it's Tommy Hilfiger.
Probably so.
Howdy, gang. I have an Innova Makani.
Yep.
Same mold as the Zephyr. Not sure why they use 2 names. The disc is larger in diameter than most golf discs. It feels like a cross between a catch disc and a golf disc. I've never used it in a round, but I think it is PDGA approved. It also makes a great disc for Polish horseshoes. Does DD have anything similar, or would you ever consider it? Even if it wasn't PDGA approved, I would totally buy it. We don't have it, but the Beetle, it makes me think of the Beetle, which is very much like a Frisbee catch disc, but it is PDGA approved.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that or the Bite from both from Latitude 64. The Bite is more of a fastback type disc. So it's got a little lip and then it raises up to a flat flight plate. The Beetle is just rounded more like an ultimate Frisbee. Those are the two that we have that are kind of similar. I've thrown the Makani. It's fun catch disc and good for putt and approach. It is PDGA approved, so you can use it for that if you want to. But I've seen a couple of people use the Beetle and the Bite to pretty great success out on the disc golf course because they just fly so slowly. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to put anything behind it, and then it's just gone. And it once it's gliding, like it feels like you can ace run a lot of baskets or go for throw-ins at a lot of baskets and not land too far past it if you miss.
Nice.
They're cool.
All right. So I was watching Twitter and I saw Austin Hannum post an interesting question on his Twitter.
Yes.
He basically said, not basically, this is exactly what he said. When will the PDGA or the Disc Golf Pro Tour incorporate drug testing for top tier events? I think that's a big step in the right direction to grow even bigger. And I noticed that there's a lot of replies. A lot of people have different opinions. I had something to say about it. Some people were all for it. Some people were like, I don't understand what it will do to the sport, how it really would impact. So a lot of it seems like some of the sentiment is that allowing people to take certain drugs gives them an added advantage as far as their gameplay. And so we need to be able to test for that to make sure that people aren't doing that type of stuff. Now, I get like some of the hard stuff, but I think some of the controversy would come with when we talk about specifically marijuana or cannabis, because, a lot of things are happening in the government right now. Some things were passed that was changing the classification of marijuana. So that I think would be kind of muddy waters or sticky situation, trying to drug test people for that and then not allowing them to play. But what are your thoughts on it, Robert?
This is another thing, like if we're going to spend money on something, I don't think this is the most important thing to spend money on. Now, before you come out with your pitchforks and say, oh, Robert likes drugs. First of all, if you know me, I'm a very big proponent of drugs. I've done many drugs in my life. No, zero.
You're doing drugs right now. No.
I'm currently on drugs. If Dr. Pepper is a drug, then yes, I am a drug addict. Anyway, I just think that if we are going to spend money like that, it should be spent on something better, something different. I don't think that disc golf is at a point where performance enhancing drugs are a large issue, especially because it's not like baseball, where all of a sudden this added muscle automatically makes you throw farther. Some of our farthest, like Eagle McMahon, throws just as far as pretty much anyone else in the world. And Eagle is not a strong person. He's very fit and he has long levers, but he's not like most people would be able to do more push-ups than Eagle, I bet. He's just built his body for disc golf. That's what he does. Now, someone who's kind of flying in the face of that is Ezra Adderhold, who's ripped and also throws far. But I kind of believe that Ezra would throw far whether he was ripped or not. Having that said, I don't think that performance enhancing drugs are a big issue in disc golf right now, because I don't think there are any that provide you a significant advantage as of right this second.
Are you talking about the physical aspect?
I'm talking about the physical. I was about to get to, like, if you're talking about Adderall or something where it's more of a focus thing, I could see that making a difference.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I've never taken Adderall. I know that, it's a problem in esports and some other sports as well, because it allows you to focus a little bit more intently than you normally would. But once again, I don't feel like it's as big a problem or as good a use of funds as something else would be. When you get to talking about marijuana, like you said, marijuana is creeping up on being legalized in a lot of places. And I think it would feel weird to ban that if unless you call it performance enhancing in some way. I don't think you really could. It would feel weird to ban that and then not to, ban alcohol. Like, are we going to do blood alcohol level testing before events or after events? Or I don't foresee that being the most important thing that we could do. Now, if somebody has the money and wants to do it, more power to you. I would love for disc golf to have no drugs in it whatsoever, but I don't think that's the reality of where we are right now. And I don't think, one last thing, I don't think that Austin is saying we should do this so that anybody who smokes weed or does whatever they're going to do shouldn't be able to compete. I think he's really just trying to legitimize in a way that other sports have. I'm just not sure that that's the right route for right now. I guess that's where I'm at.
Also, and then, okay, so some other people brought up the whole stigma of the look of the sport. We're a bunch of hippies and stuff like that. I'm starting to feel like, and maybe I'm out of touch because I work in disc golf. I feel like that sentiment is becoming less and less an issue.
Yeah.
I think some of the old, like the OGs from disc golf, or at least it's just something to pick on or something like that. It just doesn't feel like that's a problem anymore as far as the stigma of, the hippie look and stuff like that. Now, I'm sure, but just like in any sport, there's going to be a group of people that's the thing they do. They do recreational drugs and they do this certain sport or activity. But the top level pros, I don't think you would have watched ESPN2 and be able to pick out without knowledge of knowing the players. But if you're just like, you've only watched a couple disc golf tournaments and all of a sudden you saw it on ESPN, I don't think you would look at it and go, that looks like a hippie sport. You know what I mean? Because everybody's professionally dressed. They've got polos on. They got, they're dressed nice. So they don't, and I'm not saying that you guys know what I'm saying. I'm not saying that a professionally dressed person is probably can't be someone that is out there doing drugs, but you get my point, is that the perspective is not the same, I don't think, as if you were watching some other time period of the sport.
Right. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I don't know. And again, like you said, the cost thing, I mean, that would be very costly, and who's going to pay for that? If the PDJ were to pay for that, guess where that comes from? That's going to come from money that would normally go towards sponsoring the sport, sponsoring the event, putting on the event. Membership fees, I'm sure, would go up to kind of help compensate for that. I just thought it was interesting to kind of talk about that.
Right. So if it was a sport like rowing or cycling or something where performance enhancing drugs are a huge deal, then yes, by all means.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, there's not one performance enhancing drug that's like, oh my goodness, this is rampant in the sport and it's creating a huge advantage for somebody.
Right. Another thing I noticed when I was browsing around on stuff that's happening in disc golf is on UDisc. If you need to follow the UDisc blog, because they've been putting out they have been for a while, put out some really good articles on disc golf. And they use a lot of their data and their statistics and things like that they have via their app to create some of these articles. And the one they just put out this morning was the most popular disc golf courses in every state for 2020. So basically, they took information from people keeping records of their rounds on the UDisc app, and then of course reviews on the UDisc app, and they went through and they said they listed out each of the states and the top courses there. Did you look? Don't look at it. Did you look at it already?
No, not yet.
I'm gonna have you guess at least one of them.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a couple of them. Let's see. Let's start.
We'll start with Kansas.
Kansas. What do you think is the most popular course in Kansas?
Have I played this course?
I believe so.
Okay, I would guess Waterworks.
Rosedale.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
See, so that's
the up top part, because I know there's two parts to it, kind of.
Yeah, right. That's what we were talking about earlier with like more beginner friendly courses. Rosedale isn't a beginner course, but it's easier than some of the others in the area. I'm not surprised that it's super well loved and played.
All right, let's see.
It's fun. I won a tournament at Rosedale.
Oh, nice. That's why it's the most popular. Everybody goes there. This is the course that Glover. Man, I pulled out an old Robert that I knew. That's from
Glover.
like my high school days, Robert Glover.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
No,
Respect.
they'd say this is the course that McCall played.
That's right. And he won, at that one tournament.
All right, let's see if you know your old stomping ground, Texas.
Oh gosh, there's so many in Texas.
Really? Texas is kind of small.
Yeah. I know the highest rated one is Sailor Ranch.
It is not that one.
At least it was at one point. The most popular one, is it an Austin course?
No.
No, DFW then, I guess.
I don't think so. It's going to be within that area, yes.
Gosh, Zebos would be my guess.
No, Alex Clark Memorial.
Oh, okay. See, another beginner course. I got to shift out of tournament courses to beginner courses. Yeah, Alex Clark is another shorty, lots of birdieable holes. Super fun.
Is it
right
McKinney
across the
part
street
of the
from
kind of the whole Dallas?
It is, yeah.
It's
right across the street from Town Lake, which is a tournament caliber course.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting. And another interesting point that the article brought up was that typically, let's see, they say we have to point out that some of this year's changes. In other words, they've done this in years prior. So some of the courses that were number one have changed, and they said it could be how different states and cities responded to the pandemic. Which I thought was interesting. So like if you're in an area where the lockdown was much more strict, then of course there's not going to be a lot of people out at the courses. So I thought
I guess I didn't think about that. I know that Austin had at least some baskets pulled at times. Yeah. What's California's most popular? You still have it up?
California knows how to party. That is Morley Field.
Yep. That's honestly, I would have guessed either that or something like not Dela, but the other really popular one, Oak Grove. But I think I'd have guessed Morley. That's in San Diego, and they've got from like 6:30 a.m. until dark. They have foursomes going off all the time.
So yeah, so if you want to see if your favorite course in your state made it as the number one course in your state, make sure you go to udisc.com and click the blog little link, and you can check out that article there. So good stuff from UDisc. All right, well, that's all the time we have for this episode of the Answerman, guys. We appreciate you tuning in and being patient with us as we do this remotely. I have to admit, it kind of throws me off just a little bit to not have you guys here. But we want to make sure that we get these questions answered, because we're now at 58 questions. So we still have lots of disc golf questions to answer. I'm going to go through and delete the last one we did so that we don't answer it again. All right, guys.
Set for next week.
Yeah. Hey, thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed. Subscribe to us on youtube.com/dynamicdiscs. Subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Unlike Joe Rogan, we are not exclusively Spotify, so we love you too much to do that to you. I just saw some recent controversy that he is exclusively Spotify, like for real. Only his YouTube channel now only shows a rebroadcast of like older stuff, no new stuff.
Really? That's interesting.
But if someone came to want and paid us $100 million to only be on Spotify, we probably would entertain.
We'd at least think about it.
Right, at least think about it. So anyway, guys, we'll see you on the next episode.